and indicate that today's engagement is with the City of Ekurhuleni on the following petitions. The first is petition from the residents of Bredell, Pomona, Brentwood Park, and Glen, Marais, Ward 25, City of Ekurhuleni, calling on the Assembly to investigate the collapse of the reliable supply of electricity in their areas. The person who is leading that is Ms. Ismail. The second petition, a petition from residents of Benoni, Ward 23, Ward 24, Ward 27, and Ward 28, calling on the Portfolio Committee to investigate the continuous power and water interruptions. Same is asked by Honorable Ismail. So that would be what would be discussing, and that generally would be led by the petitioners, first by the Honorable Ismail, who will then introduce, and then from there would be followed by community leaders from Ward 25, Kathleen Matthews, and Ward 27. Can we, honorable members, first let's establish if we form the quorum, Portfolio Committee Secretary.
Good morning, Chairperson. We received an apology from Honorable Taban Chaba. There is transformer breakdown in the area, so she won't be able to join the meeting. And yes, Chairperson, we do form a quorum. Thank you very much.
No other apology from members possible. Any apology? Honorable Mkhalipi.
Morning, Chair. Morning, colleagues. Chair, I just want to seek a clarity from you in terms of how to balance this meeting, which is scheduled to take place until 11:30, while we are supposed to be in a mini plenaries that is supposed to take place at 10. And according to the resolution of the Chiefs Forum, all members of Parliament must be in a mini plenaries. Possibilities that they must also attend physically. So now I see that our program states that we are going to listen to, which we need to listen to petitioners and then interrogate with municipality and everyone involved. But now time is going to be on against our side. And the second point is that the COCTA WhatsApp group is closed down now. We were not told why it's closed down, because we could have asked from that COCTA group and then we resolved there instead of ask here, instead of starting this meeting. And that COCTA group chairperson is assisting many of us here in order to come with one voice to the committee. Now, no explanation was done. It was closed down by the secretary of the committee without any political explanation from you, Chair, to say that these are the reasons why we are closing down the group that is helping all of us and to be on the same page. Those are my issues this morning, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I address the first one? One member did communicate with me on the issue of mini plenaries and the portfolio committee. And she was clarified, it's honorable space. She was clarified in that there's no change in terms of parliamentary programs. From 9 to 12, we have committees. And it is correct, there are many plenaries that might have been scheduled for this time. And the indication, the guidance was that members of political parties must engage their parties as well as the Chief Whips Forum. So in other words, there's no change in terms of the program. These committees are sitting between 9 and 12. And yes, we have noted some mini plenaries, but parties must engage their leadership as well as the Chief Whips Forum. That was the guidance that was given. On this one of the WhatsApp group, I think let's engage the portfolio committee secretary. She must be able to explain why.
Chairperson.
Yes.
Chair.
Are you? I was still responding. Now I can see the end of Honorable Bredell.
Can you also take my hand, Chair?
Does it mean that you have listened to what I was saying, Honorable Bredell?
Yes, Chairperson, thank you very much. We have listened to what you are saying.
Yes.
Even though we don't know how we are going to end up balancing the two, because we must now open. Are you saying now we must open the plenaries at 10 while we are here? How are we going to engage the petitioners while we have to concentrate on plenaries at the same time? These are important issues by the plenaries, and the second issue, really, just as much as we would love to have to focus on the issues at hand here, as important as they are, the spontaneity of actions in the group prompts us to ask such questions as it pertains to the closing out of members, really, because some of it's equally important, Chair, the group, because therein we submit serious issues as public representatives. To be closed down, it means that you are closing down the people of South Africa, you know, and the secretary having to respond to those things. That means that a secretary can just close out members of parliament that are elected by the public to then submit some of the issues pertaining to, particularly with CWP participants that have not been remunerated, gratuity funds of councillors that have not been paid to date, Chair. That's so pertinent issues. And we are closed down on the issues as public representatives elected by the people of South Africa by one person from a subjective point of view. I think you need to make corrections to this, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Honorable Spies.
Yes, Chairperson, I'm sorry. I'm on the road and that's why I'm breaking up. Chair, I just want to say the following two things that you've mentioned now, and this is not what we want to do because we have guests and we need to attend to their issues, but we have been muted literally and we cannot speak. I have engaged the committee secretary on why the WhatsApp group is closed. She could not respond. She referred me to you. On the issue of the mini plenaries and us having a committee meeting simultaneously, I then privately messaged you. You gave me a response. I then further engaged on it with my own whippery, and they said they allocated us to mini plenaries in person because our committee meeting was not on the Z list. So somewhere we are losing things. Things are falling by the wayside, and all we are being told is we are being sent from pillar to post. We must talk to the committee secretary. I suspect she got an instruction which she executed, but we must be told these are the reasons that things are going to happen, and we discuss it, and you inform us. And if you don't unilaterally want to do it, at least you tell us. At least give us the right to respond. That is just respectful, coming from both sides, Chair. And that is really what upsets me as a committee member, that I'm cut off from communicating about pertinent issues. We are treated like children in this committee.
In fact, honorable members, I've indicated the agenda of the meeting. I allowed you to raise those two issues, and I've both responded to them. One, to say, consult your political parties insofar as the so-called clash between the mini plenary and the portfolio committee. And your whips and everybody else. I'm not responsible for programming. So that's one. Now the second one, I've said you must ask the administrator of the WhatsApp group of the portfolio committee, who is the portfolio committee secretary. She is the administrator. She must be able to give you reasons why whatever, the portfolio committee WhatsApp group must deal with. We are not discussing it, by the way, for the first time. It has been discussed. So I hear some of the messages you are passing, which might be misleading to the whole country, because the whole country will not understand what we are talking about. A WhatsApp group of the portfolio committee is for the administration of the work of the portfolio committee. But I've allowed everybody to speak so that we clear the air, and I'm sure nobody is going to be shut down from this session. But those two issues must be followed up by the relevant structures as already indicated. Let's start with the program. Let me acknowledge the MEC of the provincial government in Gauteng and Mr. Kumal, and immediately allow him and possible the executive mayor, just remarks to open up, and then I'll start with the petitioner, Honorable Ismail. Honorable MEC. Just opening remarks, yes.
Good morning, Chair of the session. We firstly want to thank the opportunity to appear before the committee, but I just wanted to indicate that when I assess the matter that we are to appear about here, it is first, it is a technical matter, but second, it's a matter that was almost resolved. However, we would be together with the technical team that is here, be in the position to can present the committee with the contents of the report as such. So I really do not want to, on my opening remark, go to the content of the report as such. Safe to say that we would be in a position to can deal with the content issues that the committee would want to raise with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Maybe it was just a courtesy to say you might know better the environment which you operate, but maybe you are correct. Let's allow those who have approached the portfolio committee to lead the session. Honorable Ismail.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to everybody. I just want to state, frankly, in the beginning, these petitions were submitted, late 2019. And therefore, we need to highlight that these issues have not been resolved as yet. While I hear the previous speaker saying that it's almost at the end of, where we can say this matter is resolved, this is a continuous issue year in and year out. So with regard to Ward 25, the power outages, Residents of Bredell, Brentwood Park, Pomona experience on a weekly basis, power outages as follows, cable theft, vandalism. This all causes extended outages, power outages outside of load shedding times. Now we know as load shedding stages are actually increasing, the impact on the ground is really huge and fast. And with load shedding 4 hours and then having a power outage in between and then load shedding again, due to cable theft and vandalism, our residents are obviously having a major problem. Secondly, tripping or overload on the grid during restoration of power during evening and load shedding slots. This is also another issue that is a problem. This occurs every evening when there's load shedding. I'll give you an example. Power was supposed to be restored at 2000 hours at night, and most areas were only restored at 2116. Some parts of Brentwood Park are still not restored at 2138. This is the magnitude of what is being experienced on the ground. Thirdly, residents want to know what is being done by SDS and BDG to basically reduce cable theft. We know that BDG security, that is Ekurhuleni cable theft, we only have a reaction officer number and hope the guy is on duty. That is coming now from the responses from the councillor and residents on the ground. The residents are actually asking for a central number that they can call so that they can actually highlight when they're seeing the cable theft is taking place or, there's some sort of vandalism taking place. Fourthly is residents want a report from the Ekurhuleni Energy, proving the extent of the overloading during switch on in the evening load shedding slots. This is obviously having a large impact on them, and therefore they want this report so that they can understand the situation and obviously plan forward. Fifthly, residents are demanding that all illegal connections and abandoned and vacant properties which are actually inhabited illegally be dealt with, as this obviously is contributing to major tripping and high loads, thus affecting paying residents that are actually experiencing load shedding plus power outages due to illegal connections and the impact of it with regard to vacant property and illegal connections. The sixth point is that the residents of Bredell are constantly affected by power outages, which they claim are due to illegal electricity again connections at the Protea Park, informal settlement on the corner of 1st Avenue and 7th Road, Bredell, plot 410. This property houses plus minus 300 people, I'm told. And seventh point on this matter is residents would like to know if there are any long-term solutions or plans for the electrical infrastructure in their suburbs. Chair, this is with regard to Ward 25, the one petition. I'm not sure if you want me to introduce the Ward 24, 27, 28 petition at the same time. Please advise.
Yes, let's do that. I think at least it was brief, this one. Let's go to the next.
Okay, thank you. So I submitted this petition again to Parliament in the late 2021. Basically, what is going on here is that when there's load shedding and power outages, the pump stations don't work. So the result is that the residents are now staying without electricity and water due to there being no generator at the pump station. So at some point, there was a public meeting in June, July, where the HOD said that the feasibility study would take place by the 15th or the 18th of August. And it would then be, decided whether there will be a generator at the North Mid Tower. And then only will a generator be procured. Around the 20th, the councillor requested feedback on the feasibility study. And to date, basically, there was no feedback that was offered, despite, continuous promises. They were then advised in August 2022 that a generator would be ordered. However, in September again, the councillor was told that a generator was ordered. In October, the councillor was told that the incorrect information was given to the contractor to order the generator, that is with regard to size and capacity, but it now had been ordered and by end of December, it would have been installed. We see again in December, the CEO advised, the City of Ekurhuleni actually advised that we would not get the generator due to financial constraints, but that by the end of the first quarter, a generator would be supplied. In April, the councillor was told at an oversight committee meeting that the contractor who was supposed to order it was no longer with Ekurhuleni as of the end of December and hadn't ordered it. And so now a new contractor had to be found to get COE a generator. Again, on 15th March, the councillor was told a new contractor had been appointed and they needed to see if the generator will come from South Africa or internationally, and that by June we would then have the generator. Now, from all this, we can see that, you know, the goalpost is being moved from one month to another, from 1 year to another. And this is becoming increasingly concerning and worrisome as we know that load shedding, you know, the schedules of load shedding is obviously increasing. And again, I'm going to say 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon. In between, we have power outages due to cable theft, due to, you know, what cable fault, whatever is the matter. And this is obviously then affecting water supply, which is, you know, a constitutional right to every resident. And not only the resident, but to households, you know, schools, clinics, and businesses. I'll leave it there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ismail. Can we now move to the community representative? Ms. Kathleen. Kathleen Matthews. Is she in the portfolio committee secretary? Is she in?
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Continue.
Good morning, Chairperson.
Morning.
Yes, my name is Vuile Ngodwana, the Executive Mayor of the City of Ekurhuleni.
No, Honorable Mayor, you will come immediately after this community, 25, Kathleen Matthew.
Okay,
Kathleen.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Yes. Is Kathleen Matthews in the platform?
Ms. Matthews was in the platform earlier. I don't see her on the platform now.
Chair, may I?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I've just spoken to Kathleen. She had a issue with some technicality with regard to power outage. She's joining and going to be logging on. I think she should be on by now. Thank you.
Yes, I'm on at the moment. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I apologize for that. We are in another power outage at the moment.
Yes, continue.
So I do apologize. I did actually miss the introduction from Hasina, because currently our power went off at 9:30 last night after being off for most of the day. So the reason for our petition is regarding the water, that we just have no water at all when our power is not, when we have no power. We have a Rand Water pump station and we have a Northmead Tower pump station. The two are within about 300 meters from each other. They are affected by load shedding on the B16 grid. So when B16 load sheds, we have no water pumping into the tower or into the Rand Water pump station. Generally, the 2-hour outages we can live with. We do lose water, we lose pressure immediately when we go into load shedding. If it goes longer than 2 hours, we lose water completely. And it can take up to 5 hours for some of the further lying areas to receive their water. So, for example, I'm in Ward 27, but people that are in Ward 23 who live in Brentwood Park, for example, they live further down the line, sort of about 5 kilometers away or 4 kilometers away, and they really battle to receive their water. And by the time they get any kind of water, we are ready to go into our next load shedding slots. When we have a 4-hour load shedding slot, we generally go off on time, and I would say 80% of the time we come back on late, and we can come back on almost 45 minutes after load shedding is supposed to end. This then impacts us for the next load shedding session, because we, instead of having 4 hours between, we only have 3.5 hours before we go into our next load shedding slot. It is therefore impossible for people to have water between the first load shedding slot and the second load shedding slot. And we then end up having no water for almost an entire day. The next issue we have is people that are on the B10 grid who are not affected by load shedding on B16 are also affected by no water when B16 load sheds. So for example, when we have B16 load shedding, they have electricity, they have no water. When we have electricity and water, they have no electricity. So they might have water, but they can't warm the water up. They can't bath, they can't shower. It's really a problem. The next issue we have is that the residents in the area are generally quite elderly, especially in the Brentwood Park area. There are lots of retirement villages. These people are unable to go to tankers to collect water due to their age, and some of them are quite frail. In addition to that, those that are able to go to tankers to collect water are unable to carry that water and pour it into toilets and that type of thing. So we'd like you to take that into consideration. We have many schools in the area. We have 17 schools between the 4 wards. And we have issues where children have had to be let go home from school because there's no water at the schools. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday morning, we had load shedding at 8 o'clock. We were supposed to come back on at 10. We never came back on at 10. We continue to have an outage until our power came back on at 1:15. However, other people in just like a kilometer away, their power never came back on again at all. And to this minute now, 9:25 the next day, their power is still off at the moment, which means for us, for example, the water, the pumps were off until 1 o'clock yesterday. That means from 8 a.m. to 1:15 yesterday, the pumps weren't running and there was no water for anybody in any area that is fed from the North Mead Tower. There are about 35,000 properties that are fed from the North Mead Tower, 20 old age or retirement homes. As I said, 17 schools, which affect about 18,000 pupils. Hygiene is a massive problem because obviously if we have no water, we can't flush a toilet. If you do happen to have a pool, you can use that to flush your loo. You can't wash your hand that well. It's absolutely unacceptable to expect us to not have water. Last night, the power went off again at 9:30, unscheduled power outage. And to this day, at the moment now, we have no power yet. And it's now exactly 12 hours later. That means for 12 hours, the pumps have not run at Rand Water. And for 12 hours, the tower has not been able to fill at North Mead Tower. And every resident who is fed from this tower has zero water. And we will not be able to get tankers because the tankers will only be able to provide for the schools, for the clinics, for the old age homes first. And then we might get a tanker maybe later this afternoon. Earlier in the year in March, we had a 60-hour outage of no water. This was not energy based. It was due to a fault on the line and also the impact of stage 6 load shedding with Rand Water. For 60 hours, we had no water. We had a tanker twice. And it was an hour on the one day and an hour and a half, I think 2 days later. And it's just unacceptable to expect the residents in our wards to live like this for years and years and years. This has been going on since before the tower was even, before the ground was broken on this new tower in 2018. And it's not going to be completed in the next few months. So we really are in a position where we desperately need a generator, at the water towers, at Rand Water, so that we at least have this one basic human right. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kathleen Matthews for the input. I think what is critical here is that we have now created a platform where government can be engaged or the public is allowed to participate on issues of governance which affect them. That's the platform. We will now move to the municipality to make sure that they have noted some of the issues. If there are any responses, they will respond to that. Fortunately, they have got a delegation here, which is quite sizable. It's the executive mayor, Councillor Ngodwana, Councillor Mandla Moloko, who is chairperson of the public participation and petitions, and the head for electricity and water. So in other words, we would listen to them now. Obviously, they would be led by the executive mayor to introduce and then guide how we want to respond to petitioners. Is the executive mayor around now? If he is, yes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to you and good morning to the committee members.
Would wish to see you. That's why I'm switching my picture. I want to see the mayor so that I don't pass you next time I see
you. Okay, thank you, Chair. I'm still trying to open the camera here. Yes.
Can see you now.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to you, Chair, and good morning to the committee members. Let me take this opportunity, Chair, to welcome the opportunity presented to us to appear before this committee in order to account for the incident that occurred within the city. Yes, Chairperson, you are correct. We note and we are aware of the challenges that are happening within the city. And we are trying to put plans in place so that we can overcome those challenges. Yes, it's quite challenging, the issue of load shedding, because each and every day it's happening and it's affecting our lives badly. But before I can go any further, Chairperson, maybe let me introduce the team so that we can also answer to some of the questions, because as you've said earlier on to say, we've got the representation here. I'm having MMC Manamela, who's MMC for water and sanitation and energy, and also the HOD for water and sanitation, Mr. Thokozane Maseko, and the acting HOD of energy, it's Innocent Mulaudzi, and also the chairperson chair of the PPP Public Participation Committee. So without any further waste of time, Chair, I will give the opportunity to the HOD for water to come in and present, because we've prepared the presentation, and to answer to some of the questions and give the direction through you, Chairperson, if you allow me. Then the also acting HOD for energy, also he will come in and present his presentation, Chair, if you allow me.
No, you are allowed, Honorable Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Over to you, HOD for water. Let me start by you then. Once we are done, if we are allowed, then we'll continue the HOD for energy, acting HOD for energy. Thank you very much.
Unmute, please, unmute. We can't hear you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Chairperson and Honorable Chairperson, members of Parliament. Thank you, Executive Mayor, for the introduction. Chairperson, before we make the representation, I think that the previous speakers here, they've shown the impact of load shedding in our electricity infrastructure that also cause a lot of interruption in the water supply. And Chairperson, I'm not gonna go through the presentation in detail, but I'm gonna address the issues that have been raised by the members of parliament. Firstly, Chairperson, I must say that the system of North Mid rainwater reservoirs is one of the most stable systems in Ekurhuleni. But due to the impact of load shedding, as the previous speakers have said, it made life difficult for the residents. And we had basically rainwater shutdown that took place on the 15th of March, and water was restored on the 16th of March, but the system took longer to fill their reservoirs. We've got 2 pump stations there that supply water within the area, and those pump stations are dependent on the availability of electricity. And due to also the growth in the area, currently we've got a North Mid tower construction, which is going to be the biggest tower in the southern hemisphere, 5 megaliter tower. This 5 megaliter tower is to address, firstly, that if there is load shedding, at least we've got 24-hour storage to supply water to our residents. And this tower is at 95% complete. We're expecting it to be completed by the end of June. And to be able to commission the tower, we've got second phase now, where we'll be connecting to rainwater reservoirs to be able to fill the tower, and also building a new pump station in that tower. So the city have planned a solution for these current challenges that we are discussing now. But the immediate solution is the installation of the generator, not only in North Mid, in many areas that are affected by the similar prolonged load shedding. Areas that suffer a lot, yes, is North Mid, and also areas like Tsakane that are impacted by load shedding. So as a city, yes, we did have challenges. As you know, that we are regulated by the Municipal Finance Management Act, to say that when we engage in this issue, then we looked at the basically the delivery time, to say when we order the generator, will it be delivered within the timeline of the service provider's contract being active? So we had impediments there in terms of achieving that, as correctly the speakers have mentioned. But nevertheless, we've overcome those challenges. We've got now basically service providers in place, and we're in the process of ordering the generator. That should be connected and commissioned before the end of June 2023. That is the submission, Chairperson, as far as water is concerned. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mayor, did you say any other person must come in? Or can I assume that concludes your response?
No. Chair, I think maybe if you allow me, let the acting HOD for NH also to come.
No, he must come.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Morning, Honorable Chair and honorable members. Thanks for this opportunity to present at this platform. Obviously citing the issues that were raised by the communities. Honorable Chair, let me first acknowledge that we as a nation, we are faced with a crisis, that crisis being load shedding. And as such, some of these problems are then occur as a result of the load shedding. If we have to go word by word. If I have to now focus on Ward 25. Ward 25 chairperson, it was a predominantly an agricultural area where there's also still a lot of open lands in the area, although the area is developing. And some of our infrastructures are currently running in areas, can I say, open areas, which makes those infrastructures to be more vulnerable to either thieves or people who intend to do otherwise with the network. So yes, we agree, more especially in the period of load shedding. It will seem that the thieves or people who are engaged in criminal elements target those particular times, and to take advantage of the network by stealing or vandalizing the network at large. So those are the problems that we're facing. So we have realized that when we try to restore the network, you'll find that either a cable has been stolen or one of the equipment has been vandalized, and as such, it then triggers a prolonged restoration time, as the previous speaker has said, that they sometimes expect power to come back at a certain time, but then there is a prolonged restoration time in that regard. So those are the issues that we are faced. So there's a lot of criminal element. Yes, there also issues around aging infrastructure, which we are addressing, which we are continuously upgrading the cables in the network. We have previously upgraded some of the overhead line to underground networks. As you know, that overhead lines have a problem, especially in windy seasons, where they continuously trip. But we have since upgraded those lines to underground, just to stabilize the network in the area. Then going to the Benoni side, there, chairperson, we are faced with two things, if not three. One being an aging infrastructure, where there's an oil field cable which was installed many months ago. And we have since started replacing that oil field cable with the now better cable, if I have to put it that way, for a lack of a better word, which is an XLPE, to do away with that oil field cable, because it is now starting to give us problems. And that process has started in the financial year of 2021 to 2022. And we, even in the current financial year, we are busy with one of the legs to replace the oil field cable with a better cable, so that we can have a stabilized network. Another issue, I said one or two issues, it's also cable theft. So cable theft, it's a reality, chairperson. And load shedding, it's unfortunately giving access to these guys to be able to operate at their comfort, because they know that the electricity is off at this given time, and and they can do whatever they need to do. So hence, sometimes when you want to restore, you find that there's prolonged outages. We need to restore that, repair that, and it then becomes a problem. I think also just to pick up from the speaker, there was a mention of when the load shedding block comes to an end, there's when they will try to switch on, there's an overload. Yes, that do happen, Chairperson, more especially if the household have got all the equipment switched on during the period of load shedding. So what will happen is, Chairperson, when you switch back on the power, you will have something called an inrush current. So that inrush current, your protection will see that as an either overload or a fault, and then it will obviously react. Hence, you will find that some of the customer get delayed when we have to switch them back on, because now we have to stagger the switch back on, such that there's no much inrush current coming into the network and trip the network. So yes, we'll have those. We do agree. We acknowledge you will have those instances where electricity is supposed to come back at 10, but because we now have to stagger the switch back on, then it might take maybe another 20 or so, just to make sure that the network is stable, and then we can switch the next block and so on and so forth. Honorable Chair and members, I think let me pack it there. And yeah, thanks.
Okay, Honorable Mayor, I'm sure your team is done now. There will come a time when members will be asking questions. I know you would be critical then. Can we allow the MEC to make remarks as well after listening to the responses and the questions? MEC?
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and members, honorable members. The presentation made by the technical people is indeed correct. And that's a general problem that the country is facing as it is now. We had a meeting with Brentwood a week ago to try and understand the issues that have been raised as it relates to the outages and as it relates to the load shedding, as to what is the impact of these two on the provision of water. Indeed, there's a direct impact of the two, particularly as it relates to load shedding, because what happens is that during load shedding, the people continue to consume water, and when the electricity is restored, people will immediately have the electricity, but the water would towers would take time to fill, and in some instances, depending on the levels that those communities are, they would not be in a position to have water at all. And with power outages, it exacerbates the matter in that scope. So part of the difficulties is to or issues that we need to deal with is to resolve the issue as it relates to load shedding, but also to look at issues that relate to the outages. Some of the issues that also contribute to that are issues that relate to pipe leakages in some instances. To that extent, we have established a joint team with Brentwood, and it's led by the CEO of Brentwood with all the technical people in our office. The intention of that team is to ensure that one, we intervene timeously when we have this kind of situation, But secondly, this must be a continuous engagement with communities, so that amongst others, we create awareness to communities, so for them to understand the difficulties and challenges that we're faced with. But listening to the petitioners, I have a sense that the petitioners are aware of what causes all of these kind of things. But I think some of the issues that they would be raising are matters that relate to the need for intervention, for instance, by municipalities to buy the generators and so on, because if we can find a intervention that would assist us to mitigate against outages and load shedding in some instances, I think it will help us to improve the situation, because I agree with the petitioners. It is bad to go on weeks, days without water, because water is very essential as such in the lives of any community. So there's work that we're doing to try and improve the situation, Chair. That's the submission that we could make thus far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That concludes the presentation, and I will now allow honorable members to engage on the presentation. I know now I can see Honorable Ismail is raising. Yes.
Can you also put you on the list?
What is it? Okay.
My hand is up, Chair.
I can see the hands, but I was confused by Honorable Ismail, because Honorable Ismail, you were a presenter. Now I'm allowing honorable members. You might be an honorable member as well. But let me skip you and start with Honorable Teza, Honorable Mkalipi. Any other member before I will allow Honorable Ismail? Honorable Teza.
Yes, Chair, can you add me please to the list?
Honorable Space, yes, I will add you.
No, thank you so much, Chair. Thanks to the petitioners, both petitioners. For the petitions, Chair, let me start here at the MEC's level, at the province. You know, MEC, just as much as you have contingency measures in terms of providing water to the people in terms of water tankers, what are the contingency measures that you have in terms of providing electricity there? Why is it that we are told about electricity at the municipal level? Would it mean that the municipality now is a producer of electricity? Because my understanding, my 2 cents understanding is that, in fact, electricity comes from ESCOM, Chair. So the middleman approach is going to exacerbate the situation. It can't be that we are always looking for measures to have middlemen and offer middlemen. And as a result, because even the matter of water then is not a sustainable measure. It's just a contingency measure. If anything, we have seen even in the issues of solidarity, there are proponents of that particular ruling party in that municipality that are entering that space so that they can hold. You can see if you go to Musha municipality from 2016 up until now, there are water tankers there. People buy water in order particularly when they come back home during December and in all holidays, even Easters, they purchase water from water tankers perpetually because that particular thing doesn't have to be resolved so that friends are part of that. So what is a solution in terms of that? Because it's enough to say that on the 20th, I'm sorry, Chair, It's enough to say that on the 20th of June, we would have resolved that. But we would like the details. We would like the details into how the issue of from the side. And the second issue, Chair, that I want to pursue is how does it not make it, how does the issue of Guatemala Township transformer not make it to the presentations or issues by both the province and the municipality, because the people there were promised that they would have the issue of that transformer would have been resolved within 7 days. What has the municipality done to fix that? To date, there's nothing that has happened. We would like the public would like to know why hasn't been what has been done and what are the impediments into this issue in particular. Chair, lastly, I just want to say the issue of that we're always hearing about aging infrastructure is that often we are hearing this when the infrastructure has started aging. We are not hearing the preemptive measures that have been taken because we knew that at some point the infrastructure will actually collapse. So what are the plans in place of the municipality preemptively to deal with aging infrastructure than come and complain about an infrastructure that has already been dilapidated? In the same way that ESCOM, we're getting the same thing with ESCOM. That ESCOM, there have been warnings before, but now we are talking about ESCOM. We all know about ESCOM. What is the issue with ESCOM? Whereas ESCOM has been showing warnings there. Thank you very much. Yeah, those are my submissions, Chair.
Honorable Mkhaliphi.
Chair, I won't be long because I need to go to many plenaries. But I just want to make just a minor reflection. First of all, I just want to understand, because I know that the Ekurhuleni government is new, have just been constituted, and some of the MEC plus the mayor are new to this. Now, when I was listening, I think it was one of the MMC saying that one of the intervention to this crisis that has been brought here by the petitioners is to get a generator. And then I think Honorable Bredell is quite correct to say, no, we need to be taken into confidence with how to address this matter going forward. Because everyone who has done the presentation here is saying that the country is undergoing of a serious problem of load shedding. No, the issue that the petitioners is bringing to the front of the committee is the issue of the old problem at Ekurhuleni before this thing of a man-made, and it must be stressed here, which is the issue of load shedding is not a crisis in a form of that we don't have any solution. It's a made problem. So Ekurhuleni must tell us now here, what are they going to do in terms of the intervention? One of them is what Honorable Bredell is also alluding to, the fact that the aging of infrastructure is not something that has not been known. It's not something that has been taken Ekurhuleni by surprise. So we must be told how is Ekurhuleni is going to address the issue of aging of infrastructure. And then the Minister of Electricity was once said in one of the platform saying that they are waiting for a second-hand generator from Russia or somewhere in the world. So now we are told that they are also waiting for a generator to be one of the intervention to this problem in order for the residents of Ekurhuleni, 24, 25 or 27, I can't remember, and 23, to be able to have water, not their water to be cut. That is one part, but that is not the only problem. The problem is that their transformer of electricity has been there and has been aging, and we are not hearing what are the long-term solutions. We are looking for a long-term solutions in terms of their infrastructure at Ekurhuleni, not to mix the problem of load shedding, possible the blackout that is going to take place in the country, we want to hear from them. Then how are they going to intend to address this matter? That is one. Secondly, the issue of time frames is very, very, very important. It is unfortunate that this matter is to come here. We have so many issues to deal with as this committee, but there is a provincial government. There is also a City of Ekurhuleni there, knowing very well that the one that we are engaging now, including the mayor, they are fairly new. Maybe they've been there for a month or 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. And their MMCs were also sworn in not long time ago. So their government is fairly new. But the administrators and officials of Ekurhuleni who are supposed to run the administration, they must be the one who is leading the charge to say that this problem started at this time and what has been done or what needs to be done and what is the time frame. Because we can't allow a situation whereby we are going to be bombarded with petitions while there is a local government and there is a provincial government. We're supposed to be the last resort as a national government to intervene. So therefore, we also has to be taken into confidence to say that after the person who has leading this petition to Parliament, did they try to engage with provincial government? Because provincial government was elected in 2019. And what did they do? And they must account here. Why now they have to come here and tell us that as a provincial government through the MEC, they are going to intervene? Is the petitioners didn't even knock to their doors? If they do, what happened? Why they didn't intervene? Why are they not taking serious the people who are suffering at Ekurhuleni? So those things, they must be clear here, Chairperson, before we also come with a solution or a way forward. We need to know each and every person, because all of us here, we are elected representatives and we ought to respect people who have voted us into the office. So therefore, it can't be that now this issue is here in this Cooperative Portfolio Committee, and then we must also pretend as if there is no local government and there is no provincial government. If we can also be clarified in that regard, we can also have a way forward in terms of how to address this matter. This is not the first time I'm engaging with a crisis of Ward 25, by the way, Chairperson. The Ekurhuleni, City of Ekurhuleni, not referring to political leadership because they are fairly new, referring to the administrators, referring to the officials of the Ekurhuleni. They don't even care about people. I have a resident in Ward 25 there who is a pensioner, Babu Dlamini, who are saying that, no, I don't have money to pay for my service. Can I also be granted? Can I also benefit as a person who does not have money to pay? Until I took the matter to the DDG in the department to say, go and help this old man. So this old man can't pay for electricity and so on. But what we have discovered with the DDG Mpo is that the city officials of Ekurhuleni, they don't care about old people. In a nutshell, they don't care about residents of Ekurhuleni. That's why people, they have to go and find our numbers as a member of Portfolio Committee to say, please intervene because I'm indigent, I can't afford. But when you make a follow-up with City of Ekurhuleni, the matter was long reported, and they don't even care. They have that don't care attitude. So Mayor, please, now we are expecting you to ensure with your all new MMCs saying that, no, we are prepared to listen and to act to people of Ekurhuleni, because some of the issues that I'm alluding here is not something that is very nice to deal with when an old person does not know where to go now. Thank you very much, Chair. I'll just pause there. Sharon, can you attend to my WhatsApp? I send you a WhatsApp, so don't ignore me. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Space, Honorable Space.
Thank you, Chairperson. Permission to keep my video off. Chair, last week when we dealt with the Ekurhuleni municipality, we also had the challenge of water and electricity. And key to that, Chair, that really stood out was that there is a clear communication problem when it comes to residents and members of the community at large. And so my first point is, Chair, we need to have a very clear plan of how the municipality communicates with its residents. If they have, and they should be having those contingency plans in place. So those contingency plans needs to be communicated so that residents know the times and the frequency of, for instance, tankers being in the area, loud hailing happening, all of those things, because then at least the problems becomes a little bit lighter, not resolved entirely. I want to understand what took so long for these generators to be procured. Why was it just pushed and pushed and pushed forward and not being dealt with and executed? And we are now having a commitment saying it's going to happen. But what assurance do we have that it's going to happen if that is not happened in time that has passed? Chair, out of this meeting, the community needs to know from today, within the next 24 hours, what is going to happen in the area. Because we have been told by 3 speakers, if we do not know about ESCOM and load shedding, the crisis is going to get worse, which means the municipality must have its own plans in order for them to mitigate these issues. Chair, we don't hear what they are saying in terms of budgetary provisions, and they are in that time now currently. We don't know if they have approached other than provincial government, MISA, whoever can help them with this aging infrastructure. We are just being told that it's technical problems and it is at the point where it will be resolved. That is not good enough for the residents of this area, like all the other residents who are coming to us on this platform with similar problems. We need clear plans. We need feedback that goes out of this meeting to the residents to say what was the outcome of this meeting and what is being committed to and what decisions has been taken. Then we are moving forward. And then this committee needs to be informed of such so that we know that the meeting that we just had, it was not futile and was not wasted. And that, Chair, will already take us a few steps further. But the issues of aging infrastructure is a long-standing problem. Load shedding is not going to leave us. We need to be proactive. This municipality needs to be proactive. Its officials need to think out of the box and need to come together with stakeholders and community and maybe get ideas from them as to what must be done, or outside experts and consult them without having to waste any money on it. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Can Honorable Opperman follow?
Chairperson, thank you very much. I'm covered by the Honourable Space. Thank you.
Can Honorable Msimango come in?
Thank you very much, Chair. I will raise just one question, but good morning to you, good morning to the honorable members, the MEC and the officials, and the mayor and the officials, and of course the most important people, the petitioners to this session. Maybe let me start by saying, at times, because this is happening for the second time, at times officials are put at the corner and those that are presenting, because of the fact that when they come to this session, the thinking is that they are here to answer on the petition, without looking at the fact that there are plans that are put by the department in order to resolve into some of those questions that are asked in the petition. For instance, I know for a fact, because I'm coming from Gauteng, Honorable MEC, that your department and the department, in fact, the Gauteng government has good plans in place which are budgeted that speaks to the aging infrastructure as to how are you going to resolve that, timeframes, budgets throughout. But because of coming to this session, we thought, or we might have thought that you are coming to table answers towards what the petitioners have asked. You therefore put that aside. I want to request, MEC, that you briefly give us a plan of provincial government, because I know for a fact that it is there, which seeks to respond to the question of aging infrastructure, especially in that corner of Ekurhuleni, meaning the Ekurhuleni as the city. Because I think you might have not been given that particular opportunity. So I'm saying, let's allow you an opportunity as and when you get an opportunity to be able to respond towards the plans that the department has in order to make sure that it resolves or it responds to the question of aging infrastructure. Because here we are dealing with issues of aging infrastructure, and it is the reality, including the issue of electricity. I want to applaud the actions that have been put in place, because in reality, this issue of electricity, it is becoming a challenge, and I want to believe that even if you want to put certain measures in place, but along the way, they might not be enough. And because I can tell you now, throughout the province, there are many complaints that once the electricity is gone, many things get damaged, be it your water pumps, be it. So as a result, once the electricity is gone, then there's an issue of many things that gets to be not working at that particular time. As a result, then the community will definitely have to. So I applaud the action, the small actions that have been put in place for us to be able to resolve the issue of water outages and so on. But let's try and make sure that we ramp up so that we are able to make sure that our people get water on the ground. At the end of the day, we are accountable to the petitioners, to those that have voted for us. So I'm saying, while we have plans, let's put those plans, so that we are able to make sure that also we are seen as people that are helping the situation. Thank you very much.
Honorable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, let me start by saying what is the main purpose of a municipality, and that is to render services. When we look at the inputs from the municipality, they already know about these problems for a long time. It's not only now, but yet they are still doing crisis control. And crisis control is an expensive way to address a problem. So, Chairperson, from my side, I want to know from the municipality if they do have a master maintenance plan in place for a sustainable solution, even with their new products or projects. Is the projects to mitigate this also included in their IDP? And then, Chairperson, we appoint people within a municipality to do a certain job. Then we create KPIs to speak to that, to see if they implement it or not. I want to ask the mayor if he will put this problem or the solution to the problem within the KPIs to see if the directors are actually acting on resolving this problem. It doesn't help that we as municipalities all over South Africa have a situation and then do crisis control to try to fix it. We have to start planning and do it in an organizational way where there is law in terms of doing this. But all of the municipalities only do crisis control to see where there is place for money to be given to their friends in contracts, and this must stop. It is the municipality's main job is to render services, and the only way they're going to start render services if they to prioritize the communities of South Africa. Chairperson, especially within this municipality, that's quite a big municipality. There's a lot of people, and with this crisis, there's also pressure on the economy of the local government. They must start thinking in terms of their own jobs. If there's no economy within the municipality, there's no salaries to be paid. It's as easy as that. It's the communities within our areas that gives the municipalities money, not the other way around. So they must start thinking bigger. And I want to add on what Honourable Spies said. They must start thinking out of the box, but they must prioritize the community in doing so. Thank you, Chair.
Very much. We'll now go back to the petitioners led by Honorable Ismail. I don't know whether it would be a question or follow up on some of the comments made. Honorable Ismail.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate it. I just took the time to really look at the presentation from the City of Ekurhuleni. And I just have some specific clarity-seeking questions with regard to, issues that the petitioners have actually raised and the solutions or the feedback that the City of Ekurhuleni is actually giving us. And, with regard to Ward 25, number one, security services such as SDS and BDG are actually not performing the duties and services that are contracted to by the City of Ekurhuleni. Now, I think some previous speakers actually highlighted that, when you actually allocate a contract, there should be some sort of a performance system in place to ensure that this is actually being done. Now, from what I'm gathering on the ground, obviously something is missing. So I'm suggesting that the SLAs and performance need to be assessed as a matter of urgency, because residents are finding when they see cable theft or vandalism taking place, there are no patrols taking place on the ground. Secondly, I see on the presentation that there's some infrastructure upgrades that are taking place, and nobody has seen this. I mean, I drive through all these wards continuously. And, we don't see this actual upgrades taking place. I'm requesting from the City of Ekurhuleni, even if you send the report in later, can you actually provide detailed information regarding the network infrastructure upgrades you claim to have taken place? The places, the dates, and what work is actually being done, is this is actually not seen on the ground. And I think that is important, because residents are going through all this, and if they see something taking place that is actually going to be assisting in the long term, it's something that, it's a measure of calmness to be able to say, okay, we're dealing with this, but we don't see anything taking place on the ground. And thirdly is, I want to highlight again, there's a major lack of communication, from the department, from the officials, whether it's a 2-day outage or whether it's an 8-hour outage. Residents are expecting feedback, and instead of begging, the councillors are actually put in the back foot, especially ward councillors, to say that they're not getting updated information to provide to residents. And this is really worrisome, because residents pester the councillors to say, what is happening? I'm paying my taxes, I'm paying this, I'm paying that, and there's actually no feedback from the municipality. So if that could be improved, we would really appreciate it. Again, due to no proper planning of timeless infrastructure upgrades, residents are bearing the brunt of continuous power outages and water interruptions, and a real plan of action needs to be given to us so that we actually understand what is going on. And I'm suggesting that, please, can we request to have a public meeting to provide effective, responses and a proper plan of action of how the City of Ekurhuleni is actually going to be addressing these issues, obviously from the outcomes of this particular meeting, of this particular portfolio committee meeting, where these petitions are actually addressed and what long-term solutions are going to be put into place. I think that would be some sort of constructive response to the residents of Ward 25 with regard to power outages. From the Ward 23, 24, 27, and 28 petition, I'm looking again at the presentation of Ekurhuleni. Now, I'm going to say it again. We have two distinct issues here. We have rainwater and we have City of Ekurhuleni, and both are compounded by each other and load shedding. Now, if you're looking at the North Mid Tower and, where we actually saying now, okay, we are going to be getting some sort of generator, albeit it's taking a bit long. The reality here is that, we're not getting things timelessly, and this is where we are actually having a problem. So, I'm suggesting that we actually have some sort of constructive feedback with timeframes as to if there's going to be a generator being placed, we need to know that a generator is going to be working, because we have other instances where rainwater actually got a generator at one of its reservoirs, but that generator is not linked, it's not functioning. So what's the use having a generator that's actually not functioning? It's not helping anybody. So we want to, actually ask from the portfolio committee, as a whole, and everybody that is here, all stakeholders, that, if generators are actually prioritized to be placed and working at all rainwater reservoirs, and at every feeder, like the North Mid Towers, and every water feeder system, that will actually assist so that if there's a load shedding issue or there's a power outage issue, at least due to the generator being there, it can still continue pumping the water. So residents actually don't have to deal with two issues, that is power outages and water outages. And, at least, when you're looking at health facilities, you're looking at schools, you're looking at old age homes, and looking at normal households and businesses as well, at least things can go on, there's some sort of functioning system in the long run where we can say, something is still being addressed in a long term or even in a short term when it comes to water supply. We all know that water is a constitutional right. And we don't want to take everything to the Human Rights Commission. We want things to be addressed. And just on the response on some of the issues raised with regard to, everything being escalated to the national portfolio. Unfortunately, it comes to the point where these residents actually, submit these petitions to the local municipality, and there's no responses coming forth. And then ultimately, it's like, there's nothing forthcoming. And that's where the escalation takes place. You say, now it's a last resort. Let's link it up to the national government and hope that, we will get some feedback or some sort of constructive timeframes from the both local and, provincial government spheres to be able to say, no, something constructive is being done. We hear you. We are now addressing the issue, and we will have quick solutions rather than another, 27, 28, 29 years. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Wendy Klassen.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Councillor Ismail has pretty much covered what I did want to add, that as a resident of Ward 25, we have a terrible lack of communication. Our power has literally just come on from our load shedding, which was from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And there's been zero communication, and that is our biggest issue. That, as Councillor Ismail mentioned, whether it's a 2-day outage and they let us know that this is what's going to happen so residents can prepare, or whether it's going to be like this morning, a 2-hour outage that we had no idea about. And there's rumors flying that it's cable theft or vandalism. So communication is just key. We would really like to please be advised what is the issue and why is it taking so long for the councillors, all the councillors in the wards, but specifically Ward 25, to get any sort of feedback on what the issue is. Why is it taking so long for teams to go out if the power has simply tripped? Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, I see the hand of H Ismail. Can I allow that hand?
Thank you, Chairperson. You will know this hand more often in the future because I'm now one of your portfolio members on this portfolio, and good day to all the others members. It's for this brief second that I just put my face on, if you allow me just to ask or clarify follow-up questions on some of the other members' previous questions. I think with reference to the procurement of the generators, and I'm trying to understand where is the institution or the municipality within their timeframes of the procurement. Have they just commenced? Have they adjudicated? I'm just trying to have that understanding. With reference to the temporary arrangements, what are the number of water tankers available within the municipality? 1, 2, more specifically towards the ward or that specific area that has been affected by the petition. And to the MEC, within the MTF, what budget has been allocated to deal with the aging infrastructure? Has there been an analysis done to determine the extent of the resources needed to deal with the aging infrastructure? And if so, is it possible for the MEC to do a written submission, because I do extend that it will be substantive, to the committee to put out that analysis that has been put forward. The other questions has been raised by the various members. And thank you, Chairperson. As my maiden speech, I'm glad that I was not interrupted. Thank you.
Can we now move to our guests to respond? Start with the municipality. Can we get responses from the municipality? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I hope the Executive Mayor and my MMC Lishaka Manamelo are here. Protocol observed. Chairperson, I'm going to address the number of issues. But before I address that, I'd like to show this picture, if I can be allowed to share. I'm not sure that this picture is available to the members of the committee. They can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, Chairperson, the reason I'm showing this picture is to give confidence to the members of the committee that the city has been very responsive to this challenge. As you can see on your left, there is an old Notmead tower. On the right, it's a new Notmead tower, which is 5.5 megaliters. Should we not had COVID-19, we should not be addressing this issue today. Due to the delays that we've experienced during COVID-19, the structural concrete of this tower has just been completed. This picture is before the roof was poured of concrete. Now the roof is just been completed. We're busy with piping. As I've said, that phase 2 will be now to install a pipe from the tower to rainwater reservoirs and the new pump station. So the city has been responsive, meaning that in terms of forward planning and programming, in terms of addressing aging infrastructure, growth and demand, the city, I would say that has been nearly on par when it comes to that. Then the other burning issue is the issue of communication. The ward councillor for this area next to the tower is Councillor Joseph. We've received, as Water and Sanitation, a thumbs up from the councillor as far as communication during the hardest crisis, during the most difficult time. We've given all the support to the councillor. While I'm addressing that one, the other issue is the issue of why it takes so long to procure. As I've alluded before, that basically as a city, we go on a 3-year tender to procure services. Nearly by the end of the contract, we anticipate with the service provider in our planning and programming that what is your lead time to deliver this item? If the lead time will be outside of the financial year, then we stop everything due to the fact that outside of the financial year, then we'll be in contravention with the SCM process. Before I continue, Chairperson, with the other questions that have been asked, Chairperson, it is very, very important, especially in National Parliament, to understand the impact of load shedding, not in Ekurhuleni, but in the entire local government as a whole. The impact of load shedding is that the way electrical infrastructure functions, the switch on and switch off, it causes a very high maintenance. Some of the assets that are going to take us 10 years, that should have functioned without blowing up for 10 years, then you reduce the lifespan of those assets. For example, as water and sanitation, when there is load shedding, reservoirs, they'll run dry. It means that we are not trading, but we've got fixed costs that we need to honor. Not only that we've got fixed costs, we must generate revenue, generate reserves to invest in the infrastructure like you see in the picture, that we know that their lifespan is coming to an end. We should be able to generate the revenue. Unlike provincial and national, the budget is appropriated. We must raise revenue. So when we start a financial year, we say for water, we're going to raise so much at different categories, same as energy. So the impact of load shedding is going to make any local government municipality that is trading with water and energy not sustainable. We cannot underplay the impact of load shedding affecting local government. As Ekurhuleni, we are the industrial hub of South Africa. We give Eskom a maximum demand that we service every year at high cost, but we're not getting that electricity. It's killing the sustainability of municipalities. And we've got a high social impact due to number of informal settlement that we have. So we should be trading at all times. So I'd like to emphasize that load shedding is not a shield in this presentation, but it has a negative impact on the sustainability of the city of Ekurhuleni, and also on the investment, as the member saying that, don't tell us about aging infrastructure, what are you doing about it? We've got asset management plan, master plans. One of the members talked about, do you have a master maintenance plan? Yes, we do. By law, each and every financial year, we must prove to the auditors how the condition of our assets, which assets they need to be upgraded, which one they need to be replaced, and we must plan ahead. But if we are not trading, if we're not making money, where are we going to get money to replace those assets? You know, meaning that here we are advanced with North Mid Tower. Now, due to load shedding, due to COVID, we are far behind. You know, we won't be able to see you to show you pictures like this to say that we've planned, we've designed, we're at the construction stage, we're nearly the final stage. So, Chairperson, I would really like to emphasize to members of Parliament that load shedding is killing the municipalities. The next point, Chairperson, I've answered why it takes so long to procure, to say that the changeover of contracts, if the lead time to deliver the product cannot be met within a financial year, then we stop that due to the fact that we're going to contravene the Municipal Finance Management Act. This picture was actually in motivation by Member Msimang to say that the way the question was put, it created us impediment to express ourselves, you know. So I want to say that we've got plans, we're doing something about this. And the next one, one of them of the committee advised that we put generators in all water pump stations. Yes, we're planning to put generators in all the water pump stations, but depending on the affordability. As I've said, that this situation that we face as a country make it difficult as for the municipalities to basically to implement their forward planning programs. Then a member asked about SCM process. In terms of the SCM process, the contractors have been appointed, the service level, all the legalities have been finalized. We are at the implementation stage. That's why we're giving a commitment of the 30th of June to install generator. Not only NetMeet, we've also done an assessment of other reservoirs and towers that are highly impacted by load shedding. So that we'll be addressing them also. Then in terms of the number of water tankers, In the city as a whole, we've got 44 water tankers for different service delivery areas. But in the area where there is prolonged load shedding, then we are able to take those tankers to the areas where are needed. Like this area, at one point in time, we've got 10 water tankers, but if the area grows, we add up, we borrow from other depots to add up to that. And Chairperson, I just want to emphasize that as far as water is concerned, we've got praise from Councillor Joseph in terms of the availability of the department, the communication with staff when the issues are raised. And one issue where as a department we've lagged is an unfortunate part, the delay in the installation, on the procurement and the installation of the generators, of which we're taking corrective action in addressing those issues. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. MEC, if there's anything from the side of the province.
Thank you very much, Chair. I really appreciate the initiative taken by the committee, but I want to just make the following observation. I think one, there ought to be a clear criteria that the committee would use on dealing with them, with some of the specific issues. For instance, coming to this meeting, one of the questions I kept on asking was, why are we being expected to deal with a matter that could have been best dealt with by a municipality because it is specific to that particular area? And I think my question has been proven to be right, listening to the issues that the members of the committee are raising here, which issues seek to address the broader approach at the provincial level and to some extent at the national level. For instance, the new issue that has been raised around us providing a report on the on our intervention on how we're dealing with the aging infrastructure. I think that's a totally new issue, which if so agreed by your kind self, Chair, we will submit a written report in that, because there are certain specific issues that the honorable members would seek out of that particular report. It is not a matter that I can just take the committee into confidence as it is now. So we want to submit that we would be in a position to can provide a written report to the issues that have been raised there. I am with the technical team from the department, and we've taken notes of the issues that have been raised, particularly as it relates to the aging infrastructure as such. But also to acknowledge, and I think my colleague from Ekurhuleni would have spoken to this matter, that there is a direct relationship between infrastructure development and the ability of the municipality to receive payment of services from its residents, because all of these things, for them to happen at a municipal level, they depend on the revenue that is received by a municipality or raised by a municipality from their resident as such. And if such matters, if the issue of the payment of services by residents comes into play here, because you can't holistically deal with all the aging infrastructure if the community is not playing its part. So what is the point that we're raising? The point that we're raising is that there ought to be an acknowledgement of that responsibility, that whilst the emphasis around the municipality to do its part, it should also be said that the community should also be encouraged to do their part as such, insofar as their own development is concerned as such. But I think that municipality has sufficiently, from our point of view, answered the question, because the matters as presented to us were specific and they required specific answers as such. And I think there should be an appreciation that the issue of load shedding, it's a problem that faces the entire nation. It's not a problem that faces Gauteng, or it's not a problem that faces Ekurhuleni as such. That's number one. The number two, even the issues of outages are matters that are facing the entire province and the entire nation as such. And that, as I said, we had a meeting and we engaged thoroughly with the rainwater, and there's a direct relationship between load shedding and the ability of rainwater and the municipalities as such to provide water to their communities as such. For instance, if there's load shedding, when electricity is restored, and at the point I made earlier on, that you immediately get electricity at your home. But that is not the same with regard to water, because the water towers had to be filled first, and filling water towers has its own duration or time. It takes time for those water towers to end, therefore there'll be delay insofar as the issues of water are concerned. And as I said, that appreciation, I've seen it in the report, in the petition itself, the acknowledgement of the fact that there's a direct relationship as such. So some of the issues that we're faced up with cannot be referred to incompetencies of municipalities or the province as such, but they are the day-to-day issues that we are dealing with. I can join easily the petitioners, because where I stay, we spent 2 to 3 days without any electricity, and therefore the water levels were affected, and we ended up not having water as such. But to deal with that matter requires a different approach as such. Hence, I want to make this emphasis that I think from the committee perspective, due diligence of some kind needs to be made when such issues are presented before them, so that when we appear before the committee, there's a sense of clarity as to what is expected out of ourselves. As I conclude, on issues that were raised from our part, we will be able to deal with them either in a form of written submission or any appearance to the committee at any given time as such. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. Honorable members, if there's no follow-up, I would allow the Executive Mayor as well to make concluding remarks. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for this opportunity that you have given us to appear in front of this committee. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair, we did note the issues, and they are of importance to us as the City of Ekurhuleni. We are not just going to note them, we'll also come up with the plan to resolve some of the issues. I know some of them, yes, they will need the budget, and we did commit when we delivered the State of the City on last month to say we did make priorities into this Department of Water and Energy. And Chair, we're busy now with the budget. We'll make sure that some of the issues we accommodate to our budget that we're busy with it currently, of which we are going to table it on the 25th. So we'll make sure that we did cater some of the issues that we can. And we know that we've got a particular constraint, but we'll make sure that we accommodate some of the issues so that we can decrease the level of stress to our communities. And also, yes, we'll make sure, Chair, that we are, as this new administration, we'll make sure that we are always be there for the resident. We'll work with the resident, we'll communicate with them, we will listen to them so that we can quickly resolve some of the issues so that they cannot take this long. So I think, Chair, I'll just pause there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor. I think with those concluding remarks, I would say thank you first to the MEC and to yourself and the delegation from Ekurhuleni and the petitioners. So this triangle would make government work better. And I think from each other, out of the comments that have been made, everybody has been alerted to what needs to happen. And one can easily say, hearing from the mayor, that you are planning how best you can deal with some of this. But even out of the discussion, there should be indicators as to what needs to be done. On the issue of petitions, a petition is a letter of demand. There can only be demands after engagements. So one would just appeal to all of us, the three spheres of government, especially the executive, to respond to issues that gets raised by members of the public. Otherwise, there will be no need for all these people to come to the national parliament. And even us, I think there are some criticism to say, you must look at all this when they come to yourselves. Do some due diligence to check as to who should have done what when. And if possible, remind such people to do their work. So I think all of us, we are taking lessons from these engagements, but what is critical is that the lesson is that communities are our principals. So if they raise issues, they must be responded to timeously. If we are unable, there must be proper engagement. And I think all of us, we agree here that we are not engaging the communities enough. When I say we, I don't exclude national, I don't exclude province, I also don't exclude local government. So all of us, we are learning, but I think what is going to deal with all of this is when we engage communities and respond to whatever issues they raise. And we are also noting, though it is said indirectly here, that there might, out of these disagreements and non-understanding, payments that are not forthcoming. So even that one would need to be clarified further. And but we grant permission to the MEC to say, make a submission to us, because this general response to the question of poor infrastructure is always this aging infrastructure. So if there's a plan in Gauteng, a quarter of our work would have been done if we get a sense of how is Gauteng planning to deal with aging infrastructure. In fact, it's a common response now to some of the challenges, aging infrastructure. So would appreciate that kind of a response, a written response from Gauteng. It would lay a good foundation for the portfolio committee to follow on that general question. With that, we are closing this part of the meeting, and we are releasing the province and the municipality and petitioners In fact, I should have thanked petitioners. It's always good to hear from the people. What are the issues? So I hope by saying this, I'm not saying never communicate with the portfolio committee, but we are saying engage at the relevant levels first. But if you can't get joy, then the portfolio committee's work is that actually. We are also public representatives in the same way as MPLs as well as councillors and ward committees. Some just including ward committees because they assist the ward councillor. Otherwise, thank you very much. You are all released. We remain honorable members. We still have an item to deal with. Thank you very much, our guests.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Honorable members, there's an item which we were informed needed some correction. A report that we adopted last year, we need to adopt this report on remuneration of Chapter 9 public office bearers. So that's the report we are supposed to adopt. It is put before us. I think we did receive a copy. I don't necessarily have to read it. You can go through it, background. I can be stopped by members at any stage of the report if there's anything that's not clear. Context, committee consideration. So this, it says, having considered the above, the portfolio committee and cooperative governance, can I get a proposal to support this or not support? Or any comment? Any hand to propose supporting this? Honorable Ismail.
Chairperson, I can't support the report. I wasn't part of that meeting. So as much as I would like to comment or report, when it was discussed, I wasn't part of it. But I would very much after you close the session, just ask for clarity on the previous session on the way forward, if you allow me to just chip in quickly.
No, I will not allow that. Has been closed. You are right. You were not part of the. Can I get the Honorable Direko?
I support, Chair.
Supported. In fact, Honorable Jakwe, you are right. I might even be pronouncing your name incorrectly, because I think we still need those formal processes to introduce you to the committee. Why I'm not allowing you, it doesn't mean that I'll perpetually not allow you to make comments on the last session. Is because we're considering this one now. Honorable Direko has supported the proposal to adopt this. Any objection to it? No objection. Why I'm asking for an objection is because I only see the end of Honorable Tireko. I don't know what happened to other members. No. They have disappeared. With that support, I think the report is adopted. In fact, it was adopted last year, but there was this technical problem. So the report is adopted. Portfolio Committee Secretary, any other issue that I'm missing out?
I know, Chairperson, that was the last item on our agenda.
That was the last item. The meeting is officially closed. Honorable members, thank you very much for attending. The meeting is closed.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks very much, Chair. Thank you very much.
Yeah.